If you were like me, it was never easy asking your parents to buy you new games. I didn't have any money that I earned myself. You weren't really allowed to have jobs as a minor in my country. And even if I somehow did get money, birthdays and such, my parents still wouldn't let me use it to buy games, because I needed to get good grades. And they were right. Anyways, this lawsuit gave Fortnite a lot of publicity. And all the broke boys, me included, who were hearing all about this new Battle Royale style game, PUBG, finally had the chance to try it out for themselves. And oh my god, was it fun. I remember the first match I ever played, I landed in the most deserted area, picked up a single loot box, fell into the huge river, and just walked around for a solid 5 minutes. I got sniped immediately. I mean, I was walking out in the open, I was obviously gonna get sniped. But even though I had not interacted with anyone that entire time, the excitement and stress that you could find anyone at any time and get into a fight was just not something I had experienced like that. At least not in a PvP setting. And trying to outsurvive all other 100 people is an exciting premise in and of itself. This made the game incredibly addicting. How long am I going to survive this next round? What kind of loot am I going to find? And where's everyone going? Mind you, this experience wasn't a lonely one. This first game that I'm talking about, I was at a friend's house in a room filled with 6 guys, all huddled around one PS4. The game was that captivating. At least for me, it was a brand new experience. And I wasn't the only one who found it captivating. The game quickly became very popular, and not just like a COD or FIFA level of popularity, it was like mainstream, more mainstream than any other game had become at the time. Is the game being free really the only thing that made us play it? The thing that differentiated PUBG from Fortnite was the fact that you could build in the world they created. Probably one of the coolest mechanics to come out of a shooting game, being building, was a big differentiating factor from other similar games. Instead of being like a COD shooter where you just need to slide to cover, like those losers in Zero Build, or just get into a random shooting fight where someone's gonna die within the next 10 seconds. You could instead put up a wall to defend yourself. Not only that, you could build a ramp upwards and get high ground on your opponent. And what if they start building a ramp towards you as well? You've got yourself a build battle. These were so much fun when you go up against someone of a similar skill level. Running around these incredibly huge structures, editing doors, building ramps over your opponents, dropping down and breaking the build that was supported by one tiny ramp. Everything about it was amazing. And yes, I'm saying this in the past tense because I genuinely can't keep up with the building techniques that the good players have these days. But this style of fighting was so unique in a shooting game. All the big streamers began using building in a way regular players were not yet doing. Double ramps and double walls, 1x1s, even things like using cones instead of stairs so that you could edit them more quickly, are so simple, but were very effective early on. And so people would watch streamers play this game to learn more from them. This began with the best builder Myth and the best player at the time, Ninja. Ninja and Myth were like the flint and steel to the TNT that was Fortnite. If there was one thing that brought millions of eyes to this game, other than the lawsuit, it was these two. I think these guys were averaging like 80 to 100,000 viewers. And for those of you that don't watch Twitch, that's not like 100,000 views. It's like 100,000 people watching you play a video game for 6 hours straight, sometimes even longer, all at the same time. This was incredible. Even nowadays, after the big boom of Twitch because of the pandemic, the biggest streamers are averaging the same amount. This brought a lot of eyes to the game and helped the game evolve as people saw the potential of what you were capable of doing with the building mechanic. They got so popular that people started associating the skins within the game itself with the streamers that used them. Mainly just Myth, but still, you don't really see that in other games. This fueled the fire that was Fortnite. As people would recognize the streamer skins and call them out, people would start watching the streams. And as more people watched the streams, more people played Fortnite. Streamer skins and call them out, people would start watching the streams. And as more people watched the streams, more people played Fortnite. Not only that, but people were making memes about these two. At this point, the low taper fade meme was massive. It was huge. Everyone was talking about it. Walking down the hallways in my school with everyone laughing together in harmony about these low taper fade memes. But really, Fortnite had made streamers who they are today. Their influence was so huge, big artists were playing Fortnite with them. On March 14th, 2018, Drake and Travis Scott hopped on stream with Ninja to play Fortnite. This was actually massive. I remember I only found out about it because people in the halls were watching the stream during school. It was big news, and Ninja had reached the peak viewership of over 600,000 people, all watching at the same time. This pushed Ninja into stardom, even landing him a $30 million deal to join a different streaming company. $30 million, bro, to stream Fortnite? That's insane. On the other side, Myth, Hamlins, and Daquan, all big streamers, joined TSM and moved in together into the TSM house. This was not as big, but had cemented the idea that Fortnite would move into a more competitive direction. Personal opinion, but these guys were so much fun to watch, with a personal favorite being Hamlins. And I'm not sure if it's just Hamlin's. And I'm not sure if it's just me, but this house tour was iconic. This was a dream back when I was 18. Anyways, it wasn't only Ninja that had an influence. Daequan actually created a huge ripple in the Fortnite scene before anyone really blew up. Now before I get into this, there's always a broken mechanic in games that makes it 10 times more fun. Wind bombing is the only reason I played Breath of the Wild for 150 hours. Melee wouldn't be what it is without wave dashing and every other technique that wasn't programmed on purpose. There's also the entirety of the Skate 3 engine. But basically, these unintended features bring a new light to the game. On December 15, 2017, Daequan uploaded the double pump tutorial. If you somehow don't know what the double pump is, you find 2 pump shotguns and alternate guns in between shots. This mechanic broke Fortnite. Using 2 of the most common shotguns in the game, you could deal enough damage to wipe out anyone with max health in just a few shots. Then people started doing this with the revolver, and if you could land headshots, it was even more lethal than the double pump. What did this do to the game? It began evolving even more. With another mechanic alongside building, the way people would fight each other in close quarters changed. Instead of just sitting in 1x1s until someone stupidly makes a move, people were ram pushing each other with one-shot potential. Now every encounter became more than just the fear that someone could build better than you. It also became the fear that they could land their shotgun shots faster and better. And this makes the game way more intense. With the time to kill being shortened, every fight could end with a single mistake if the enemy had a double pump. This made people adapt to this new technique, and builders had to learn to react faster to defend themselves in close ranges. And the people who couldn't adapt? Well, they went crying to their mommies. And mommy listened. In June of 2018, the double pump was removed, killing one of the most fun fighting mechanics to grace this game. With this nerf killing some of the fun, Fortnite had something planned. In April of 2018, one of the biggest movies to grace the world came out, Avengers: Infinity War. And with all the hype overlapping with Fortnite's, they decided to collaborate. They got their first big collaboration with Marvel. Looking at Fortnite now, this may seem standard, right? They even have skins from the legendary game Lethal Company. But at the time, I think this was the first really big collaboration that a video game had had. And I can't think of any other game that did something similar at the time. Either way, it worked really well. The 2 most popular topics in early 2018 came together. And it wasn't just some Iron Man skin either. It was this new game mode where you could literally be Thanos. And at a time where Thanos was seen as the biggest threat ever. But this was something that felt really unique. And it was well integrated too. For those that didn't get to play it, there would be an Infinity Gauntlet that would spawn at the start of each match, and only one person could hold it at a time. When you picked it up, you would get instantly healed, and transform into Thanos with this sick cutscene. You would then slam down into the battlefield and have the ability to punch, kick, and laser people to death. The thing is, once you picked it up, you became a makeshift raid boss for the lobby, and everyone would start attacking you. And when I say everyone, I mean you became the biggest target on the battlefield. But half the time it didn't matter because you were so OP. This may not sound like fun, right? Having 100 people race to become a free insta-kill boss, but the tension when fighting for it, having those huge pickaxe battles before the gauntlet even dropped, and trying your best to pick it up, the gauntlet was really exciting. And if you didn't have it, it's terrifying going up against this guy. The thing with Thanos though was that he was kind of janky. You couldn't really walk up hills super normally. When he wasn't flying in the air, his walking speed is kind of slow, so players would find ways to escape from him, creating a somewhat makeshift hide and seek game. Anyways, I'm rambling, but this was super well integrated and brought more life into the game. On top of all this, in Season 2, Fortnite had introduced the idea of the Battle Pass. I'm sure you know what a Battle Pass is now, but at the time this was the first of its kind. Yes, there are other games that did the Battle Pass first, but it was widely popularized by Fortnite. If you don't know what it is, it's basically a progression system where you could unlock a whole bunch of cosmetics through earning XP by playing the game. Everything within the Battle Pass had to be earned through playing the game, other than the very first tier, which was usually a skin of some kind. Now the last tier was something special. In Season 3, if you reached the last tier of the Battle Pass, you would unlock quote-unquote the Reaper outfit. Now this is not to get confused with the John Wick costume that was released just 1 year later, but this first John Wick skin was revered among players. Callouts like, "Oh my god, it's John Wick," were a normal thing, and with good reason too. These players had grinded to the 100th tier of the Battle Pass to get that skin, and if you played that much, you were probably good at the game. At least I'd hope so. A similar thing happened in Season 4. The Omega costume was the tier 100 skin. Now, in this season, Fortnite introduced customizable skin, and if you reached level 80 within the game, you could unlock the purple lights on the Omega skin. Level 80 sounds easy, right? Bro, I don't know how much Fortnite expected us to play this game. I had finals during Season 4 of the Battle Pass, and it was impossible for me to unlock these lights. I think I reached like level 75, and you had to grind for those last 5 levels. Now the Omega skin just sits in my locker with the ugly red lights, and it's never getting used. The Battle Pass was a reason to play, but not only that, you only had to buy the Battle Pass once in your life. The Battle Pass costs 950 V-Bucks, but if you unlock all the tiers in the Battle Pass, you can get all your money back and then some, and buy the next Battle Pass. Infinite V-Bucks glitch. And if you bought Save the World, it was like a whole other thing. I'm pretty sure people are still getting V-Bucks for playing Save the World. Like, that's the way to do in-game currency. Anyways, the Battle Pass caught the eyes of every other video game in the world, and everyone began adopting the Battle Pass system. Every single game. I wouldn't be surprised if I started seeing Battle Passes in my single-player games. But no other game gave you your money back. The other games did not value their players like Fortnite did. Fortnite being an incredible game wasn't just something that was propelled by all these things though. This game had somehow penetrated the mainstream so hard that it was shattering the cliques within my school. At least it kinda did that. It could have been just because I was in my senior year. And there's something so weird about senior years. I feel like every wall that's built between people kinda crumbles down. I was reuniting with older friends, getting invited to the most random lobbies with people who I had genuinely not had a conversation with in years. And this was normal and happened to a couple of my other friends. You just end up playing with whoever was online at the time. And this created and rekindled a lot of friendships. Fortnite dubs had become a status symbol, and posting your victories, without showing the number of kills of course, was seen as something cool. Not only that, but I had girls coming up to me asking me how many dubs I had in Fortnite. How many dubs I had. And this isn't like a girls don't play video games moment. This was like someone who had never touched a video game before had just sparked up a conversation with me about Fortnite. And I confirmed this, like she didn't even play Fortnite. I was curious why she was asking me this. And this wasn't the end of it. During this time, I swear I had like 4 different groups of people that I would play Fortnite with. There was the house party gang, who only got together on occasions. There was the for fun group, who I have genuinely never gotten a dub with. Actually, we did get a win one time, and it was so random. We were hiding in a bush because we sucked at the game. And out of nowhere, the win screen popped up. A genuine 0-kill victory. But you know damn well I still took a picture of that. Other for fun groups I have never won with. But some of the most intense and probably low skill fights that I have experienced were with these people. Jumping around with a hunting rifle as my only weapon. Screaming, not aiming at all. And somehow still clutching a fight is something I won't forget. Then there was my duo, the tried and true. We would collect dubs every night we played. But even though I won the most with my duo, it wasn't all serious. We also had our funny business. I remember we used to have several strategies. I can barely remember what these strategies were. I think half of them were just us hiding in the room below Loot Lake and shooting anyone who walked in. We also did build battles, not only the fighting kind, but we would spend an hour building a certain theme in the first iteration of the playground mode. Here's my winning entry for the elephant theme. More than that, this game was multi-generational. I was 17 when Fortnite first became super popular, and this game had also caught the attention of my younger cousins. As per my other videos, you may be able to tell that I was a Nintendo boy growing up. No one else in my extended family was into Nintendo like I was, so whenever we would get together or hang out, we would either play on the PlayStation or the Switch. I wasn't great at PS4 games, and no one else was good at the Switch games, so it was always just like a lackluster experience. Or maybe not as fun or competitive as it should have been. However, with Fortnite, after a few months, my younger cousins were way better at building than I was, and playing all together was actually a viable, fun experience. It was a uniting force for sure. When I wasn't playing with other people though, it was scary to play alone. I'm not sure if this is a universal experience, but dropping into Tilted by yourself was actually terrifying. It's just eerie, the chance of being spotted at any time and getting killed immediately. I'm not a huge fan of single-player games, which is why I mostly played with friends. But I did manage to get my own solo dub once. My first win I had 4 kills, and in the last 1v1 I had the high ground. I was in my 1x1 and I was perched, waiting to spot the last guy. I hear a rocket being fired. This guy had an RPG. I looked over and the rocket had hit the wall right in front of him. He blew himself up. Look, I know I didn't get that last kill, but I still jumped out of my chair and took a picture immediately. Anyways, the game is amazing. The sound effects are nostalgic to me now. The Scar shooting sound, the old emote sound, the old lobby music, which is a banger by the way. The graphics are also just so different now. They used to be the right level of cartoony. It was perfect. So with all the experiences this game has given me, every bad build, every late night, every dub, every new friendship, the stars had aligned in 2018 and allowed the game to exist the way it did. So when I say there will never be another game like Fortnite. Okay, you should come. Oh. You should come.
Wait, you got COVID.
He should, he's building.
Oh. Okay, I hit him for 28.
Nice. Yeah, his friend's here. 42?